Thank you, Mr President. I beg to ask a member for the Department of Health and Social Care, further to the Minister's answer of the 28th of November 2017, what investigations the Department has undertaken into why no suitable tender bids which met financial requirements were received for the Drug and Alcohol Advisory Service.
On this occasion, I call on behalf of the Minister, Honourable Member Mr Moorhouse, to reply.
Thank you, Mr President. I would like to refer my honourable colleague to the answer given by the Minister in November about this matter. The Minister advised at the time that the Drugs and Alcohol Advisory Service has been subject to a formal, open and transparent procurement process, and that the contract for provision of this service was in place for the next 12 months. Therefore, there has been no need for the Department to carry out any investigation into the contract as it was successfully awarded. However, I would like to take the opportunity to remind all members that the reason the contract is currently in place for a limited period of time is that the Department has been updating the Drugs and Alcohol Joint Strategic Needs Assessment. This work has now been complete, and the presentation to members of this court of the outcomes of both this work and the proposed substance misuse strategy is due to take place in February next year.
Supplementary, Mr Ashford.
Thank you, Mr President. Can I ask the member of the Department who referred to the Minister's answer there in November, does he feel that perhaps one of the reasons that there was no successful bid that complied with financial regulations was the fact it has been a one-year rolling tender process, and if someone was to take this service on, they'd want the certainty of having at least 3 to 5 years to bed in. Does the member actually think that could have been one of the reasons?
Mr Moorhouse to reply.
Thank you, Mr President. In the first instance, in 2015, when the process was being carried out, there was an assumption that it would progress for slightly longer. It was unfortunate that at that period of time that the two parties bidding for the contract didn't meet our specific requirements. So the existing contractor was given an extension in 2016. The Treasury gave an FD8 waiver which will run until July 2018.
Mr Ashford, supplementary.
Thank you, Mr President. Would the member of the Department accept, with what he's just said there, that the two people at the time didn't meet the bidding criteria? That if the Department isn't going to investigate why no one came forward that did meet the criteria, when it goes next back out to tender, they're going to be in the same situation potentially again? Would you accept that?
Mr Moorhouse to reply.
Thank you, Mr President. That is a valid comment. Our priority, though, has been actually looking at the Drugs and Alcohol Joint Strategic Needs Assessment. Now that it's been completed with a better understanding of the needs going forward, we can hopefully come up with a better plan, and that will be more attractive for people wanting the contract.
Mr Ashford.
Thank you, Mr President. Final supplementary from me. Can I ask the member for the Department, will he give an undertaking that when this one-year tender is over and comes to a conclusion, that the next time the Department goes out, it will be for a much more substantial period? And further again to the Minister's comments in November, the Minister stated that the reason they didn't tender on more than a one-year basis is it would have been difficult to reschedule a contract already awarded. Would the member of the Department accept that since the original award was in July 2015, we're already nearly 2.5 years on from the original contract, so it would have been quite easy to have awarded it on, say, a 3-year basis?
Mr Moorhouse.
Thank you, Mr President. At this moment in time, it's difficult for me to make such promises going forward, but I will take your advice back to the Department. In terms of the period coming to an end, it lasts until July 2018. That gives us time to carry out a very careful and measured process.